Hi, I'm Norman A. Hood, financial advisor and host of the Exit Plan Show. I interview America's top advisors like today's guest, Whitney Johns Martin with Twv Capital, to help business owners enjoy more personal freedom, grow their companies faster, and transition ownership seamlessly when the time comes. Welcome to the show, Whitney.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Glad to be here.
So we're going to start out. I'm just going to have you tell our audience a little bit about your education, your background, and your career path up until now.
Well, most of my career has been in the area of mergers and acquisitions. When you asked me that question earlier, I started thinking back to the beginning, and it actually did start with mergers and acquisitions when I practiced law in the early 80s, very early 80s. And I learned about mergers and acquisitions by working in a law firm and doing transactional work involved in both the buy side and sell side of private companies. And that evolved into wanting to leave the law firm so that I could do a much broader range of services for my clients. I didn't like billing by the hour and just giving them the legal advice. I liked working on all parts of the transaction. So I actually started a mergers and acquisitions firm. Again, this was by the mid-'80s, and we focused on both buying and selling privately held companies with revenues under $100 million. So I learned a lot about buying and selling companies for individuals, and also working with private equity funds who oftentimes would fund those individuals to buy the business. And I worked with the sell side quite a bit. And as part of that practice, we did a lot of valuations. So our firm did valuations for defending valuations to the Department of Labor, or in an ESOP plan, or certainly in a transaction. So that was a tremendous experience and background for what came the third part of my career, which is now managing private equity fund. So we are investors in privately held companies, and so we, from time to time, are involved in helping those companies build value in their business, and then also sell their companies and have an exit for the founders of that company.
You and I just met. I've heard one of our previous guests, Mary Ann Montgomery. So I think I got your name from her.
You did.
She had lots of good things to say about you.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
And even described some of your personality, which was also very complimentary. But my question is, how do you think the people that know you the best would describe you personally?
In the context of business, I deal in multi-million-dollar transactions, and our investors entrust me with millions of dollars. And I'm very proud of the fact that I believe if you ask them, that they would tell you I'm very loyal to my investors, and I think it's very important to have to be trustworthy and have high integrity when you're dealing with other people's money. And when they entrust that money to you to make good decisions, to work hard, to protect their investment. That doesn't mean we win on every investment that we make, but they know that I'm working very, very hard to ensure that we're looking after their capital as best we can.
Can you tell us a little bit more about Twv Capital, what they do and services they offer?
Right. Twv Capital is a private equity fund. So we raise money from individuals, family offices, and foundations, and then we take that money and look for opportunities to invest that money into growing companies that need not only growth capital, but they would like to have access to some of the human resources, skill sets, and advice and resources that we can bring to the table. So that may sound like most private equity funds, but I think we're quite different because we have over 100 investors in our group who are very savvy, successful business people, professionals, executives who are at the top of their industry or the top of their professions. And we're able to look inside that that investor group and determine who could be a good group of advisors for these companies that we invest in.
Okay.
So it's an immediate advisory board.
Yeah, absolutely.
That you can select and go, oh, that person has industry experience, or this person has sold companies like mine and can help me build mine and sell mine. So we look to see who in our group is the perfect match, and find several of our investors, if not a handful, that can work with this company through the different stages and the different steps of evolving that company from one stage to the next. So that's what's exciting.
Oh yeah, I'll bet that's comforting to your investors too, to know they're actually going to watch their money at work.
Yes,
and defend it.
Yes, and while not every investor has time to work on every deal, and we certainly don't need 110 advisors per deal, what they love is that they know that the other advisors who may have the domain expertise, subject matter expertise, does take their time to help a portfolio company. And so it tends to be a sharing of the time and energy that is devoted to different portfolio companies. So it's a very exciting model that we use.
It is. Very interesting. What do you like to do the best, if you could pick all the things you do? Is there any one thing you like to do more than anything else?
I don't know if there's more than one thing, but I love working with the portfolio companies on their strategic plans.
Okay.
What's the direction? How do I get from point A to point B? How do I build value in my company? And I love working on that issue because I understand how to build value, because I understand what is valued by the community that's going to buy a business.
Okay.
A lot of business owners really do not understand what creates value in their companies. Oftentimes they think it's only to build revenues or only to build a customer base. And they are not that familiar with what's valued by the purchasing community. So I get very excited to go into a company and help them think through, how do I build my business in a way that's going to create more value for my shareholders, for myself, for my family.
Okay. Last question. I'm going to have you give a tip to business owners. If you could give business owners a tip in one of three areas: how to enjoy more personal freedom, get a little more time away from work, grow their company faster, which I know you like to do, or transition ownership through a third-party sale or some other transfer to an insider. If you can give them a tip in any one of those three areas, what do you think it would be?
Oh, I'd love to give them a tip in all three.
Okay, good.
We'll start. Well, I will say you must enjoy your business and be passionate about it, but you must also get away from it from time to time, because I believe the more you're able to do that, you are re-energized and refreshed, and that helps your team be energized and refreshed too, and everyone in your management team. I think that's an important part of being in business. In growing a company, one of my favorite tips to share with business owners is it's not just about taking on that large new contract or that big new opportunity. You have to be careful about how you grow revenues. And I think a lot of business owners think growth for growth's sake is the end all to be all. But sometimes you can grow in a way that detracts from the value of your company. If you have too much customer concentration with one customer while you're building those revenues, that can detract from the value of your business. If you're taking on large new contracts at a very low margin compared to your other business, that can detract from value. So those things, I think most business owners are surprised by hearing this, because they think if I just grow my revenues, everything will increase in value, and they're surprised that sometimes it backfires. And of course, the third question you asked me is about the process of selling your company. And I do believe for business owners, there is a process to sell your company. And it may be the only time that you have the experience doing it, so do not expect to be an expert in it yourself. You really need a team of experts around you. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for the inexperienced. So if you want to maximize value for what you have built, you need someone or a team of people around you who are as smart at doing that task as you were at building your company.
Yeah, good. Great advice.
I hope those are good tips.
Those are great tips. That's Whitney Johns Martin. For more information about Whitney and her firm, please check out the show notes for this episode on our website.